Welcome to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. Some of you are probably interested in what I have going on by the title of this. So that's my question. What is up with the PW50 suspension? So as you can probably see, you might notice two things about this bike. One, these rear springs are black. They look a little smaller. And two, probably won't notice this, but these are the thicker diameter new front forks from the modern PW50s, so the 2017 and up. So let me wind back a bit. So these PWs have been basically unchanged since like 1979 all the way to like 2016. And then in 2017 they came out with a different front fork and a different rear spring. So most people probably don't even know that, but I noticed it because I really started looking into what is different about my son's bike than every other kid's bike at the track, because all the other Peewees at the track, they were landing soft and they were flying through the air evenly, and my son's bike would pitch the back up in the air and he'd basically land on the front wheel off every jump. That's really scary to watch as a parent. So I needed to figure out how to not have that happen. So I did some research, and the first thing I wanted to figure out was if I could put the new forks on the old bike. So just a couple of parts later and several hundreds of dollars later, and I was able to do that. I was able to retrofit the new forks onto the old frame. So that's only a couple of pieces that are needed, and I'll highlight the part numbers of those here soon. But essentially it's a fairly easy job. You just, basically go through the whole steering stem. I replaced the ball bearings up there and the races, because this bottom race was cracked from the original. I still need to put that bolt in. If you're paying attention, you probably saw that. But there's a new lower clamp that's needed because these forks are bigger in diameter, and I have reason to believe that they're oil filled as well. So that is good. I think those things will be better than the original smaller spring actuated forks. Grease and spring basically. So then we'll move on to the rear. The rear had, from the discussions I had with the manufacturer of these springs, and I had these springs actually custom made for this bike for my son's weight. So the rumor is that the original Peewee springs for the rear are 150 inch-pounds for each spring. So if you do the math, that's cumulatively together 300 inch-pounds. Basically 300 pounds on the bike will push those springs down an inch. So I don't know what world Yamaha is living in, other than thinking maybe the parents are going to ride on the back of the bikes, or adults are going to ride them. But anyways, that is no good for my 50-pound rider, who won't even be able to make those springs, move basically. So I don't know if that's true fact or not. Anyways, it doesn't matter, because I had these springs custom rated at 35 inch-pounds each. So that's cumulatively together 70 pounds to push these springs down an inch. So basically my rider's 50 pounds with his gear on, so that gives him a little bit of room to get heavier. And by that time he's going to be on his Cobra anyways. So we tried these out, and I have an installation video. The installation was a little tricky, but not impossible. So I'll have that on my channel as well. And with that, we've totally revamped the suspension on the 2002 PW50. So there wasn't too many tricks along the way, wasn't too many surprises, and basically the only thing that I think I might need to alter or adjust later is this spacer here. This is the spacer for the original forks, and I think it's a little bit too wide, because I had to spread the forks out just a touch. It's not even visible to the naked eye, but I really just spread them out just and slide that spacer in there. So I'll probably look at the part numbers and see if there's a different part number for the new Pee-wees versus the old Pee-wees on the spacer. But I was still able to get it to work, so it's not going to end your day. And other than that, it was a pretty straightforward, pretty simple install. So we're looking forward to getting back out on the track and hitting some jumps and maybe not nosediving anymore. And hopefully it makes a safer bike overall. So if you're having the same problem with your kids and they're racing their Pee-wees or even backyard racing, if they're nosediving on the jumps basically, it's probably because the rear spring rates are too high for your kid. So I don't think a lot of people are doing these mods, and some kids might be able to pull the front up. Some kids are probably better than my kid at riding and maybe can you know how to lean back and pull up the front a little bit more to compensate for that. But for my kid, it just seemed like it was getting a little bit too dangerous, and I didn't want him basically doing an endo off the backside of a steep or a peaky jump or a whoop or something like that, because some of these tracks that we go to here in Florida have little whoops in them, so that's no fun when your rear springs are way too tight.
So did it work? That's really the question we wanted to answer here. Yeah, it worked. The bike was way more controlled in the air when he wanted it to be. So here you see, controlled the bike great, flat and level. Through the whoops we have on a practice track, bike was really controlled. The rear squatted down like it should with a compliant suspension like you'd see on a bigger bike. However, the nose would still pitch down if he didn't really kind of pull up on those handlebars. So no matter what you do to the PW50 suspension, I feel it's just not going to be the right bike for doing stuff like Renan was starting to do. These videos were shot during his final days on this bike. As you can see, the stuff he's doing was a little bit more extreme than I felt the PW50 was going to withstand for too long. So we upgraded him to the Husqvarna EE5, which is a purebred race bike, and I realized real quick that it wasn't the rider that was having the problems, it was the bike. As soon as he got on the EE5, he was a totally different rider. So I guess the moral of this story is, here's how to hook up your Pee-wee to make it a little bit safer until they get to that next step. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. There's a lot more videos on PW50 and Husqvarna EE5 stuff on my channel, so give those a look and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. See you next time.